Welcome to Frank and Upfront. I am your host, Mr. Franklin. A very special welcome to all of you joining me on this podcast. Welcome to my channel. I invite you to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Today's topic: red flags that you are dealing with a narcissistic female. You see, in Western society, the advertisement of sex is, let me just say, it's over advertised. Sex is over advertised. But in reality, men are undersexed. Not really women so much. It is easier for a woman to find consistent sex in this society than it is for a man. And that's because of the 80-20 rule, which would see the majority of females, 80% of the females, pursuing the top 20% of men, leaving the other 80% of men with inconsistent sexual options, a deregulated sexual marketplace, and some men are completely booted out of the sexual marketplace altogether. They call those men incels or involuntary celibates. Can you imagine the pain and suffering that a young man must go through, a young incel man must go through, seeing the advertisement of sex all up in his face in society, everywhere he goes, on television, on the streets, with these women being scantily clad. Yet, he feels excluded, like it's something wrong with him, when in fact, chances are there's nothing or very little wrong with him. Nothing that's so unforgivable that he's unworthy of love, at least. And he walks about the place with his head held low, feeling like he is the problem. It's something wrong with him. No, young man, if you're listening. No, it's not. It's something wrong with society. It just so happens you were either born too late or born in the wrong country. Sexual expressions all up in his face, or being overly advertised and all up in his face. Meanwhile, a young man like that truly cannot get laid, or can't get laid consistently. And society shuns them. It's easier to scapegoat these men. It's easier for society to shun them and treat them like they're the problem than to look themselves in the mirror and realize what they have done. That they have created incels out of perfectly normal men because of female hypergamy and the greed and narcissism and entitlement of female hypergamy that's being allowed to run wild and run untamed in this society. Even though humanistic sexual expressions are overly advertised in this society, most men, a reasonable number of men are not gaining sexual access as easily as popular culture would suggest it is. Do you know what that does? That kind of advertisement, oversupply and under demand, it induces sexual thirst that would have otherwise been non-existent. These men appear thirstier than they would have ever been in a normal society, like the way it was in the 19th century, or even as late as the 1940s, for example, where marriage and family planning was a community effort and everybody in the community was involved, almost like an arranged marriage without the control. The young man is still free to choose his wife, but everybody in the village comes together and see them off as man and wife. And in those societies, no man was left behind. In this society, well, we don't have those close-knit rural villages anymore, and we don't have too many of them anymore. In the bigger cities in America, like New York and Los Angeles and San Francisco, where people hardly know other people, it is not easy unless you're lucky enough to have a close-knit tribe of your own. But if you're not, it's not easy to inspire a community effort to see you paired up with somebody, a sex partner or a relationship partner. And as a result of that, because of the disloyalty of this society for their fellow brethren, you have people who are being left behind in the dating game. They have very little choice but to fall to the wayside. And make it easy for society to forget they exist. These men now appear thirstier than they've ever been before. If they were paired up with a life partner from early in life, as it were, in recent history and throughout most of history for that matter, if that was the case, I believe that there would be far less thirst than what's going on now in society. But right now, sexual thirst is an epidemic because there's more advertisement than there's actual demand. So now reasonably normal men look like perverts for being so thirsty, when in fact they're not. It's just that society triggered them to be in their sexual feelings, be in their sexual energy, inducing thirst they otherwise would not have had. Making them look more desperate than they have ever been before. That's not their fault. They are being triggered. Yes, they can still have some self-control. But many of them don't even realize that they are being triggered by this system to react in a thirsty manner. And so now they repel women when they do that. They are hurting their own cause. They're chasing women away who get scared and concerned and kind of take a step back when they see a man behaving in that manner. And all because they don't realize that they're being triggered to react in a thirsty manner to no fault of their own. Now, when they do that, they fall into a pitfall. There are always narcissistic females out there, and they're always on the prowl for their next victim. Even if they appear disinterested in sex with their target, they are still very much interested in attention and the ability to feed off his energy, or what many people call narcissistic supply. I don't like that word, but we are not here to debate which word is the correct word to use to describe the concept of someone who feeds off someone's energy by triggering them to react. We understand that we're talking about the same concept here. Men are falling into traps chasing narcissistic women, some of whom are very attractive, very, very attractive women. And they fall into the trap of chasing these women, not realizing who they are or what they're after. With that said, I have compiled a list of the top 5 red flags that you're dealing with a narcissistic female. Number 5, she is petty and trifling and immature. She always wants to pick fights with you over the simplest of things that she's not even mad about, but she's picking a fight about it because it's not even about that. You may never even know what she's really mad about, but you can be sure of one thing, gentlemen. She's doing it to trigger you to react so she could feed off your energy. She's probably not even mad, point blank period. She's probably just running low on energy and need to feed off yours. She's trifling and petty and immature and always picking fights. Number 4, she's a gold digger. She doesn't really care about you whatsoever. The only time she calls is when she wants something. But when you call her, she doesn't pick up. Then she calls back 3 days later. Oh, my phone was dead. I didn't pay my phone bill. What's up? You called? She was probably sitting there looking at her phone the whole entire time, or getting her back blown out by some dude who was actually giving her what she's after, money or sex or whatever it is that she's after in that moment. But you, her financial supplier, the only time she knows you is when she wants something. That's your only purpose, and she literally could care less if you are in need of something. Wouldn't even ask you how you're doing, how did your day go. You are there to give her money. She's not there to ask about your well-being or show concern. And the only time she'll do that is when she wants something. Number 3, she is disrespectful. She will do disrespectful things on purpose. It could be a shit test. Could just be her demonstrating to you how much she doesn't want you around, how much your services are not required. Yet, if she's benefiting on some level though, she'll keep collecting your money though, right? Whatever it is that she's getting from you, she won't reject that offer. She'll keep accepting it, whatever it is that you're supplying. But then she'll try and disrespect you in subtle ways. She might kiss you with the same mouth after she done swallowed some guy's nut, without even washing her mouth out first. Very nasty woman. Not that it makes a difference if you wash her mouth out or not, but the level of disrespect is her deliberately not washing out her mouth on purpose. After she done sucked some guy off and he came in her mouth and she swallowed and she went and kissed. Hopefully not you who's listening. Hopefully not. But be mindful of that. Be mindful of the possibility. Or she might try and put something in your food if she's cooking for you. Or she might try and spit in your food or do something to your food just out of sheer spite and disrespect. She might try and sneeze and cough over your food as she's cooking it, just out of sheer spite and disrespect. Alright, that was number 3. Number 2, she's highly manipulative. She will pick fights with you. She will even time the fights for the fight to go down at a certain hour of the day or night. If she knows that the game is going to be on at 7 o'clock on Friday night, she will start a fight with you at 6:55 on Friday night. Just to make sure you don't watch the game. Why is this petty, trifling girl who's struggling with her self-esteem issues competing with her image on your television screen? Why? Anyway, whatever. If you're planning a boys' night out with your bros at 8 o'clock on Saturday night, she will start a fight with you at 7:30 on Saturday night. She will start bawling her crocodile tears. Oh, you don't care for me no more. I thought I was your girl. What else? Oh, so it's bros over hoes now? Your bros are more important now? It's all about your bros now, not me. Y'all acting like a bunch of faggots. Petty, trifling things. And then if you answer her now, and by the way, while she's starting up those fights, she could be throwing vases at your head all night long. But the moment you turn around and even remotely kind of want to push her off for you to defend yourself, to kind of push her away and, like push her off from you, the moment you do that, you hit her. Bitch be throwing vases at your head all night long, and the moment you kind of block her hits, block her punches, block the vase from hitting your head again, or push her off for you as she is kind of pushing up into your personal space, The moment you do that, which is your right, it is your right, she's gonna bawl and have the neighbors believing that you're beating her over there. And when the cops arrive, guess who's going to jail, buddy? No, it's not her. Anyway, number 1, she is a cock tease. A cock tease. She does not want you. She wants your attention. You were not pursuing her sexually, but she will go out of her way to friend you up just so she could reject you, so she could get a power trip of rejecting you. For those of you who are still young, this may sound very unbelievable to you, but they will do that on purpose. They will go to great lengths just to get a power trip at your expense. So let me reiterate by saying it again. If you are not pursuing her sexually, she will go out of her way to befriend you, to encourage you, and then when you pursue her, she shoots you down. Or even if you've made up your mind that you're never going to pursue her, she'll find a way to reject you nonetheless, and she will get off on it. She will feed off your confusion, your hurt, and your frustration. And she will get a huge power trip of rejecting you. But I'm like, bitch, why did you even pursue me in the first place? You pursued me, not the other way around. Why are you doing that just so you could reject me? The answer is she's a narcissist out there seeking who she may devour. She chose you to be her target, and she wants a huge payoff at your expense from getting a power trip at your expense. These women are out there. Vile, nasty creatures. The solution, I cannot emphasize quite often enough the importance of traveling overseas and exploring your options as an SYSBM. But going over there is not magic. It's not magic. Narcissists are everywhere. Female hypergamy is universal. It's just that there's a weaker strain of narcissism, and these overly empowered feminist bitches in those countries, well, in certain countries in the world, than there are in the West. But that doesn't mean you drop your guard. You still have to be more careful. Which brings me to number 2 in the solutions section of this video. Solution number 2. Carefully and thoroughly vet your potential dating options. They must all be subjected to a thorough vetting process to see if they are worthy or if they pan out. Number 3, recognize the reality that society is triggering you to react to the over-sexualized advertisements, triggering you into being thirsty. They're inducing your sexual thirst to trap you. Sexual thirst comes from an emotional place. If you can be in an emotional place, they know they can trap and manipulate you. That's not somebody who gives a shit about you. That's an enemy who does that. Recognize what they're doing to you. Recognize that there's a very real agenda to get you in your feelings so they can trap you and manipulate you as they will, as they so choose. And try to remain mindful. Make a concerted effort to be mindful and in the moment when they're doing this. To not allow yourself to be thirsted. Looks like I just coined a new term, thirsted. Make a concerted effort, gentlemen, to be mindful of your surroundings in the moment and to not allow yourself to be thirsted or to be triggered into a low vibrational sexual based emotion based on your sexual drive, based in your biological imperative as a man. First, you must defeat the enemy before you pursue prospective love interests. And you defeat the enemy by not playing the fucking game. Next week's topic: what can the 2003 sex abuse scandal involving Kobe Bryant teach us about the purpose of life? I am Mr. Franklin, and this has been Frank and Upfront. Good night.